All right. It looks like we're ready to transition into the interview. Again, this is an interview with Lindsay from BCRF. I'm sure there'll be lots of interesting topics of discussion. You can learn a little bit more about the cause.
There we go. Okay, we're good now. We're good.
Hi.
Hello, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah, you
It's
are. This is incredible. I can't believe it. Every time I check, it's like thousands more.
we have a an like politely insane crowd watching us. They're really polite people. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. If you guys don't know, I'm Odin Spack, but for the next 15 minutes or so, you can call me Kyle. But after that, you can't. Um, um,
No.
right here, I'm joined by Lindsay from BCRF.
Oh,
She has helped us put some of this together and has been in contact with me, and she's been a great help. And she's gonna help us to answer a few questions because I thought that would be a
no.
good idea considering we're raising money for you guys, so
Yeah, of
it's good to get some information from the source about what we're doing. So,
course. Of course.
um, is there anything you wanted to say at all before we got started
Yeah,
here
I
at
mean,
all?
I definitely want to say thank you. I mean, this is obviously incredible. You told us this was going to be a great community, and you were clearly right. It's been a lot of fun for us to check in over the past couple of days, and I know you guys aren't even just getting halfway through. So, um, of course, thank you from our end, from BCRF side. This is so incredible for us, and we'll kind of get into why it's so important in a couple of minutes. But it really means a lot to have all of you guys viewing and everybody who has been streaming this weekend. It's so fun to see how many different kinds of things have been going out. So obviously, a big thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here today.
Well, thank you for joining us for this interview. I did want to say before that we got started, I know we were talking a little bit behind the scenes because we've reached our goal of 10,000. Like it was literally just at the halfway point of our stream. We're doing this for 64 hours, and I did the math at 4 p.m. is the halfway 32 hours mark. So like literally just before that we hit our goal.
Awesome.
So we are going to be extending the goal because, like, come on, we still got another half of the event to go. So we're going to be extending it to 15,000. We don't currently have for what right now, but we'll find something that it'll make it worth your while. Okay, we'll figure it out. So we are going to be extending it. That'll be done after the interview because I have to do all that stuff. But it is happening. All right.
That's
So
incredible.
we will be extending the goal. And
Very.
thank you so much. All
Yes.
right. Well, why don't we get into this interview a bit here? And first and foremost, I think a good place to start is can you tell us a little bit about BCRF?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So BCRF was founded in 1993 by Evelyn Lauder. She's actually of the Estee Lauder company, so big cosmetics maven. She was actually diagnosed herself and was speaking to her doctor, who turned into be our founding scientific director, and said, what can I do to support this cause? And he really came and said, plain and simple, it's supporting research. That's really the only way we can better understand breast cancer, better serve those who are facing this disease, and then ultimately create a world where it doesn't exist. So back in the early 90s, I think our first year we issued about 8 grants here in the US. And this year we are funding 275 investigators around the world in 14 different countries. So we're tackling breast cancer from every angle. We're wholly focused on research, so that's really the only thing that we do with the funds that come in. And we have a very small but mighty team of just under 50 staff that are historically, we only have one office in New York. We're a little bit all over the place now because we're working remotely, so some people have taken advantage of that to spread out a bit, but we don't have chapters. We're just that one office and wholly focused on research because we're hoping that that's what's going to bring us to a place where we don't have breast cancer anymore.
And I mean, like that's the goal, right? Is to not worry about that anymore. So,
Exactly.
I mean, this wasn't going to be my next thing, but I guess I might as well lead into this one next because you brought it up. Like, I mean, not to beat around the bush, but has COVID-19 like had an impact on breast cancer research and how things are
Yeah.
operated from BCRF?
Yeah, I mean, much like everything else, we were certainly affected, and research funding was definitely hit. So I think what's tough about research is you can't just pause it. So there's no way to sort of stop and start. So what really happens is if there's a drop in funding for research, it can honestly take like a decade to recover that momentum. So what's tough about that is it could cost breakthroughs that we're close to meeting, and it could result in lives lost that could have been saved. So for us, we've been really doubling down and making sure we can bring in as much money as we can to make sure we can continue funding all of those grantees that we work with each year. I think what's special about BCRF is that the way that we support our grantees is they come to us with a specific project. But once they're funded, they're kind of allowed to explore wherever that might go. So that's very different than what you might see from government funding, which is usually very strict and earmarked to like one specific thing that they have to focus on.
Right.
What BCRF grants kind of allow you to do is if, maybe you want to focus on one specific gene, but you realize halfway through that there's this other thing that you have a better understanding of, our funding will allow you to kind of continue exploring that. We, of course, like check in with them a couple times a year to get some reports. And that funding comes, each year they have to sort of reapply for that. But ultimately, it really allows people to explore and take a little bit of risk, which isn't necessarily an opportunity you can maybe get from a government funding, for example.
Right.
And then from there, we really encourage collaboration across all of our researchers. So that's another thing that's very important to us, is that, research can be tough. People want to kind of own their data and they want to own their findings. But it's a requirement if you're getting a grant from BCRF that you have to come in and you have to collaborate with other grantees. And we see a lot of that, sharing data, sharing impact, sharing research with each other, working together on things to really push research forward as fast as we can. So yeah, it's been, certainly been tough from COVID, but we're still here. We're still working really hard, making sure we can continue funding all of the researchers that we have currently with us. But I do also want to bring up another thing, outside of research, just in terms of breast cancer in general. We're seeing a little bit of a decline in diagnoses, and that's not because there's less breast cancer. It's because people aren't getting checked, so they're not going to the doctor.
Right.
So it's something to be, thoughtful of, for those who are eligible to get their mammograms, and please go and encourage your family members to please go do that, because the later it's found, the more aggressive that cancer could be. So it's another important thing to keep in mind too.
Yeah, I mean, I know that, like with my mom, I remember when she told me, like, hey, I have breast cancer, and just like what hit it was like it like to us, like to our family, and just I was happy that she found it when she did, because I mean, I know like the later it goes, like it can be too late. So
yeah, it's tough, and I think we've seen a lot of progress since BCRF was founded over the past 25 some years. Seen a 40% decline in deaths, and that's because we've been able to really get an understanding of how to treat early stage breast cancers particularly. But there's still a lot of work that needs to be done for some of those later stages, which aren't necessarily curable yet.
I know this wasn't prepared. I don't want to put you on the spot or anything, but just on something you said, I know you do a lot of US based stuff, but how does that kind of apply globally? Like,
yeah, we do have the vast majority of our researchers are based in the US, but we do have individuals in 14 different countries. So we have some people in Canada, which I know there's a good crowd tuning in from there, in Europe, Asia, and South America as well. So we do, have people all over the world, and we are considered a global research function. And that's super important to us too, because, we just happen to be here in the US, but that doesn't mean the best and brightest are only here. So that's really what we focus on, is finding the most innovative, most dedicated people that are doing the most interesting things. And that's who we look to support.
Right. Maybe this question isn't as applicable now, but I'll still ask it because it's here. Maybe you have a better answer. Is there a specific area of breast cancer research that BCRF is focused on at the moment?
Well, it's a good question. The answer is everything. So we really try to focus on every element of the disease, and we bucket them into a few different categories. So we've got tumor biology, so that's really, really understanding what the makeup of the tumor looks like, treatment, prevention, heredity and ethnicity, survivorship, and metastasis. So we really kind of focus from before you could even get it, like what are the ways that we could prevent breast cancer from happening, throughout the life cycle of the disease, and then also in survivorship. So maybe you've gone through breast cancer and you've successfully come out of it. What does life look like for you after that too? But I do want to note that, something that's really important is nearly 40% of our funding, our portfolio, goes to metastatic research. So that's also known as stage 4.
Okay.
So that means when the cancer leaves the primary organ, so in our case, that would be the breast, and travels to a different part of the body. Maybe that's the brain or the bones, for example. So metastatic cancer right now has no cure, and it's the primary cause of cancer death. So it's really very vital component of the work we're doing to make sure we're better understanding that and like identifying new ways to treat it and support those who are currently some of the most vulnerable in the breast cancer community. That's an important part of our work, but we do kind of focus on every element of it so that we can serve those who are currently facing it, like we mentioned,
Right.
hopefully prevent it, and then certainly cure for those who have it now.
Well, that's really good to know. That's just like every bit is always being taken care of. Like, cause I mean, that makes sense. Like that's it. I mean, I think it's, breast cancer is not really a static thing. Like it's there's so many elements to it. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and it's not just one disease. I think, we think that it's just one thing, but it's actually many different kinds of diseases, and there's lots of different kinds of breast cancer, and some of them are more aggressive than others. So it's really quite complicated. I'm not a researcher, I'm not a scientist, but I try to keep up with what's going on, and a lot of it is tough. It goes above and beyond me, but it is important, like you mentioned, to kind of cover every aspect of it, because that's the only way we can support as many people as possible.
Right. Well, I mean, in regards to the event we're doing, just because I feel like this is a good thing for the audience to know too, how do their donations specifically help BCRF?
Yeah. Well, like we mentioned, we're wholly focused on research, so every dollar that comes in, that's where it's dedicated to go. But from that end, I think we can kind of speak to a little bit about like what a breakdown could look like to help envision it.
Okay.
Research is sort of like ethereal. It's not like you're planting a tree or you're digging a well, and it takes many, many years, and year after year you're compounding on what you've learned, so it can take a long time. But just to make it a little bit easier to imagine what your money's going towards, I know this is probably a stat that might have already been shared this week, but we talk about how $50 can fund an hour of research. But when you think about that, that could be like that hour where there's an aha moment, or you understand something, and that really allows you to track down and towards a new breakthrough. Another stat that we push out is, at $500, that could fund a patient's DNA sequencing to better understand, what their DNA makeup might look like, and how that could affect the treatment that they receive. At $2,500, that could fund a patient's enrollment in a BCRF supported clinical trial. And those are really, really important. That's really what allows for new drugs to come onto the market. And so for those that are currently facing breast cancer, and particularly those who have stage 4, those are super important for them to be able to find a new way that they can treat their current breast cancer that they have. But every dollar helps, I think. I know your next question might be, what can you do if you can't donate?
Yeah, that is
but,
it. But
yeah, I mean, every dollar can help. So, from 1 to 50 to 2,000. So thank you to Scottman. That was absolutely incredible. I have to shout that out. But that's not the only way to support us. I think obviously you're here right now. Sharing the stream is important. Getting people to come in, like push this out on your Twitter, tell people to tune in. That's a great way to talk about it. Share, BCRF's content. Follow us. We're at BCRF Cure on pretty much every social channel, particularly Twitter and Instagram. Then personally, understand your family history and get an idea of what your risks could be, because that could help you be able to talk to your doctors about, if you have a direct relation, whether it's a mom or an aunt that's gone through breast cancer, you might be eligible to get your mammograms at an earlier age. Better understanding your family history and what your risks could be. And then, like I mentioned earlier, anybody that who's eligible to get mammograms, like tell them to go do that too. That's just as important. So all of those things are vital to us. I think, of course, like I said, follow BCRF, tune in, post your own stream if you want to in the future. And everything helps. Every bit helps with us. And even just getting the message out is really important so that more people can learn about BCRF and the work that we're doing.
Well, if you have a few more moments, I do have some extra things to ask. We have a little bit of extra time, but
absolutely.
How did you personally get involved with BCRF?
Yeah, so I've been in the nonprofit space my whole career. So I've always worked in fundraising. I started out at a youth development agency in New York City. Worked at a charter high school, and then ultimately came to BCRF when they were launching, or they have a young professionals group called the Pink Agenda, and I came in and worked on that project first. So that's a sister organization, we call it, to BCRF, and they do a lot of programming and events, particularly for young professionals. I came in and supported that organization, doing a lot of fundraising and event planning. And through event planning, I got to work with corporations on sponsorships for events, and I really enjoyed doing that work, working with a brand to help them not only support BCRF or to support breast cancer research, but be able to tell that story of like what it meant. So I really enjoyed sort of like working with those corporate brands, and transitioned into my current role now, which is on the corporate partnerships team. So I work with a portfolio of companies that support BCRF, so they could do what we call cause marketing programs. So that might be selling an item or a product that gives back to BCRF with every purchase. It could be an employee engagement program where they work with their employees to do some sort of fundraising opportunity that supports us. So it's really fun. It's a great way to be creative. We get to work with a lot of different companies. And I'm talking about this because a couple of years ago, we worked with Blizzard on a really big and incredible campaign with their Overwatch game.
Oh, I saw that. Yes.
Yeah, the Pink Mercy skin.
Yes.
And got to be a little bit of a part of that project, and that was really what opened the doors for me in understanding like this community and being able to see the opportunities that lived within gaming, and have really sort of led BCRF in building out these kinds of opportunities for us, and building out stream kits, and working with communities like yours to raise money for BCRF and talk about the impact that they're having. And it's been really fun. I have to say, I definitely played games growing up. I wouldn't call myself a gamer, so I felt a little bit out of the loop when I had this experience to see Pink Mercy come to life. And for those that don't know, it raised over $12 billion in 2 weeks, and it literally was mind blowing. Like when they called to tell us that, we like the whole office stopped and we were like crying. It was just so incredible. And it really opened up the idea of this whole live streaming opportunity, and where we can bring in new people to BCRF, which is really exciting. So after that, I got to go to TwitchCon, and I just got to kind of like see this all happening and realize that this is super cool. So much opportunity here, and everybody's just so giving and creative and fun, and it's been a lot of fun to work in this space for the past couple of years.
I've heard, I think I saw this last night, and I've heard it before, but a thing that kind of goes around, like especially when these events are going on, is like don't mess with gamers with wallets, because they'll prove you wrong. Like they'll donate to whatever incentive, and they'll get that stuff met. Like people are incredible.
Yeah, you guys chase a goal like no one else I've ever seen. I really have to say
we're very competitive. We got to get it met. That's what the goal. That's what the goal is for. It's like we got to get that. We got to get that achievement met. We got to get that goal met. So are you pretty much like, hey, we have this gaming thing, we're gonna send you, Lindsay, into talking with them now, or is there other people that do that too?
I have a colleague, Felicia, who also works with me on this space. The two of us have really owned it together. We're both part of that corporate partnerships team, but we've been working together for the past couple of years on just building it out, getting an idea of like even work in this space. I think for us it was really important to start building a community and getting people to just know who we are. And we were lucky with the Pink Mercy campaign that it gave us a little bit of name recognition, and that kind of opened some doors for us. So it's been super exciting. I think the thing that, as I mentioned, I've been a fundraiser my whole career, and I think what I found so incredible with this community is, one, super giving, and two, like competitive in the best way, but amazing fundraisers. Like there's just the ability, and I think that comes from streaming. Like you're not afraid to ask, and I think that's really what it comes down to when it comes to fundraising. You just have to ask. If people say no, that's fine.
Right.
You still say thank you, and you ask you to give them other ways that they can support. But it's really just about being comfortable asking and telling people why it matters and why it's important. And this community really knows how to do that like nobody else.
Yeah, streaming's definitely given rise to the ability to just kind of get those kind of interests and work together for positivity. Yeah. There's like you said, there's so many of these events and that have been doing this, and that's just what we're all about. Yeah,
it's so fun. And honestly, I think what's great about it too from the nonprofit side is the nonprofits that are engaged in this, like we all talk to each other and like share best practices and help each other out. It's just like your community is like giving and collaborative and support each other. It's the same way in the nonprofit space too. Like we're talking to other brands like Wounded Warrior Project, who's always been so helpful to us, like doing great things and being like, oh, have you tried this platform? Have you heard about this? Or how did you do that? And we chat and talk to each other all the time. So it's been a lot of fun to learn and create like a whole new family.
Well, I think we have to wrap it up. But before we go, I got one final question. I know you said you didn't play games too much, but it's a video game marathon. We got to ask. Do you have a favorite game? Did you have a favorite one growing up or something you're playing now?
Totally. So I grew up in the 90s, so I was a Sega Genesis. That was my first console. So obviously I was a big fan of Sonic. And it's called Cool Up. It was like a 7-Up game.
Oh,
really
cool Spot. Yes.
Cool Spot. Yeah. I love that game. I was just like Googling it the other day. I was like, does this still exist anywhere? I don't know why, but that's what I think of.
I've personally never played it, but I full well know what it is. It's definitely one of those memorable games, specifically because it's a 7-Up game.
Yeah, so weird. Like, why did they? Whatever. It was a great game. I remember loving that game. And then I do have pandemic. The Nintendo Switch had some Animal Crossing experience. Among Us, the casual gamer options.
Hey, I guarantee you everybody in the chat played Animal Crossing and Among Us during the pandemic. I'm one of them, so like it's a guarantee.
It was fun. Yeah. I tried to play Overwatch when the Pink Mercies game came out, and I just wasn't that good at it.
That's a pretty
every once in a while.
Yeah, that's an intense game. That one, I tried that once, and I was like, I can't do this. This is too much.
A lot going on, yeah.
All right, well, Lindsay, thank you so much for joining us. I'm glad you've been around lurking and checking out our event. That's what it's lurking. That's what it is. It's.
All the time, yeah.
I'm hitting you with the Twitch lingo.
I am checking it out. I'm cheering everyone on. And again, thank you, obviously, for the opportunity to come in and chat. This is a lot of fun. It's always great to share what we're doing. And thank you to everyone who's here and been donating and just tuning in. It's super important. The last thing I'll say, and we'll work with Kyle on this afterwards, is what I would ask is like share the impact of what you guys have done. Like talk about it, tell everyone like we've raised money. Right now at 10,000, you're already funding over 200 hours of research. So there's a stat for you to kind of talk about, and we can get updated ones once we close out. But tell everybody what you've done because you should be really proud, and we are super thankful. So I appreciate it.
Thank you. That hit pretty hard, honestly. I gotta switch over before I get to emotional wreck here. So stay tuned, everybody. We're gonna have some Donkey Kong Country 2 in a bit. I'm gonna head on over to the Be Right Back screen. Thank you, Lindsay, again.
Thanks, guys.
Keep donating.
Next, we have a very special Donkey Kong 62. Oh, I am all over the place. A Donkey Kong Country 2 run featuring. I think you guys can hear me now, right? Yeah. We have a run featuring King Kienzan, Donkey Kong 62, classic game, everybody, brand new. You're not gonna want to miss this. World premiere, brand new game here. So that'll be played by King Kienzan. He's got Pixel Plume and Wolf Kaminari on Cocom. It should be a lot of fun. Well, I'm sure we'll get some new donations in. We'll read them. We actually do have one real fast from Kerplop for $25. DKC2 was my favorite of the SNES trilogy. I think it was the pirate theme. Have fun. Thank you very much for the donation, Kerplop. Just for you, we got a big some deep thoughts here. The sound of fresh rain. Runoff splashing from the roof reminded me of the sound of urine splashing into a filthy Texaco latrine. Fascinating. Thank you again for the donation. I think I saw earlier Zebra in the chat asked me if I knew what song was just playing. I don't know, honestly. Is it Ace Attorney? Who could know? I'm saying a name that game tune. It's the Stacked Game Marathon. We're raising money for a good cause. Oh, apparently it was from Persona 4. Ah, who could know? I think I was still muted when I started coming back. I just wanted to just in case say again thank you so much to Odin and Lindsay for that interview. That was really special, very informative, great work. You guys did amazing. Truly never underestimate a gamer with a wallet. We'll make it happen, that's for sure. Let's get some big thanks to at it's Linz _BCRF in the chat. She did fantastic for her first stream. I think we can get her to affiliate. Let's push. Let's make it happen. We have another donation from Danky Kang for $6.20. Let's all play the new Donkey Kong 62 coming out to stores near you. Let's get some Donkey Kong 62 hype in the chat. You guys aren't even ready. Thank you, Danky Kang, for the donation. For a deep thought for you, Mr. Kang. I think somebody should come up with a way to breed a very large shrimp. That way, you could ride him. Then, after you camped at night, you could eat him. How about it, science? Checkmate.